Hey guys, it's Krystal Lee Moore Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore, and this is Realtor Life, a fun and entertaining look at life in the trenches as a real estate professional in Ontario. We're so happy you're here. And today we have a special treat. I have invited one of my friends and amazing colleagues, Kay Habib, with Skilled Decor Home Staging and Interiors, to come and join us and share a little bit about what she does and what we can do to freshen up our space, whether we are selling or not. Hi, Kay. Welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. I'm so excited for our chat today, and I love seeing any space that you have been into because it always just looks so inviting, and I wish my house looked like that. But we'll get there eventually. So I guess the first couple of things, maybe you could share kind of what got you started in this field and what I do have some questions for you about what we can do, but why do you love this career? Like, why did you choose it and what do you love about it?
I have always loved anything creative. I have done fashion design and interior design as part of my education. So that was something that I had initially wanted to do even, since I was a kid. So you can say that it's something that's just part of me and my passion. And anytime I see something that is creative and something that has color, it just really inspires me. So, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Um, yeah, and it's just I love how passionate you are about what you do. Now, if so we know like if we're selling someone's house, obviously like that's the time like I call you up and you come and you do your magic and everyone feels fantastic and it looks so good. And sometimes it's always funny when sellers are like, well, if it looked like this originally, maybe I wouldn't have I wouldn't be selling
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
But what can someone do if they're staying in and maybe the budget's not huge, but what can they do to freshen up or open up their space?
Yeah, I get this question all the time, and even if I do interior design and decorating as well as home staging. So when I go to my clients who just need a little bit of that, like a facelift to their home, and not necessarily renovating the entire space, taking down walls and things, there's always this question that comes up that how can I lighten up the space or how can I make my space look more fresh and more spacious? And there are five key points that I always talk to people about, and that really encompasses everything that might, kind of be in your way of making your home look really, really spacious and fresh. So we can get started with those 5 points if you like.
Absolutely. Yes, please. I have pen is ready.
Okay, beautiful. So I think the first and the most important thing that we need to consider when we're looking at freshening up our home or creating that spacious and light feeling in the space is looking at the color and lighting that's in your home. So one thing I noticed, and it doesn't matter if you're selling or not, but one thing I noticed that when you have an open concept home, and a lot of times people, have, do come across those homes because those are the homes that have been being built for the past 15 years that we're seeing a lot of homes that way. Having a consistent paint color in that open space is very important because that really keeps the flow going instead of having a lot of areas that have various colors. So for example, if you have a big space with dining, kitchen, living, and maybe a little bit of that office area that you might have, which where the space is not very big, and you might create a little green wall for your office, and you might have a red wall for the background of your sofa and maybe orange in your kitchen, like things like that. So if you tend to do that, then it actually creates that space that is very broken up and also not cohesive. So what I always recommend is having a paint color that's consistent from start to the end where the eye goes, and that really makes the space very open. Then it comes to lighting. So the light fixtures are so important. I cannot stress enough. Sometimes you see that people don't have ceiling fixtures and they just do not have the electrical on ceilings. So incorporating lamps and And now we have all these rechargeable LED fixtures that you can actually use as sconces or hanging lights that you can incorporate in your space that really brightens up your home. And using, if you want to really have an accent wall, be very strategic about it. So there are ways to use paint color to create that really interesting space, and you can use that to create depth in the wall. That's the last wall that you see, which does not have your windows, so it doesn't cut off all the windows that you have, but create that wall as an accent wall, and then have a really beautiful piece of art or a fireplace or something like that in that area.
Ooh, awesome. Very cool. And you said you have five though, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So the second one that I would say, along with this, of course, with the color and the lighting, layout is going to be so important. So layout and the kind of furniture that you get. So a lot of times what we do is we are scared to go for lighter colored furniture, but you will see that there is so much variety out there now that, the fabrics, the technology that has come so far that you can actually get a white sofa and it'll last you 10 years, and you can just clean it every time you get a stain, and you can actually use lighter colored fabrics or leather on your furniture. So I would say try that, incorporate some light colors, and if you want to add pop of colors, you can add with live plants or faux plants, and you can also make sure that other stools, little tables and accessories can also have those pop of colors that if you want to incorporate color. One of the things that I would also say about the layout is you want to get furniture that's stackable. So for example, there are tables that are nesting tables, or there are benches that go under the coffee tables, like ottomans and things. There are stools that get tucked into the island, the dining chairs that get tucked in, with the table to make it really open to walk around. I think that really helps, because if you have really large furniture, then and it's not something that's like can be compact in a way, you could have a nice dining set, but if you can tuck in the chairs with your table nicely and create that walking space around it, it just automatically makes the room feel really open and spacious.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
the third thing that I would say is use of art and mirrors. So one thing I noticed that a lot of times people have all these small pieces of art. Sorry, it's my dog.
No worries.
Do you want to
No,
pause
no, you're fine.
Okay. So one thing I noticed that people, have all these small pieces of art that are hanging on the wall. So you'll have a large wall, and then you'll have two little pieces of art, or you might have a mirror that's not really doing anything. So a lot of times people hang it at a very high level, or they'll hang it on a wall that doesn't necessarily reflect anything. So what I would suggest is hang those pieces strategically, so you can actually have oversized art, which makes your home look even larger, even though if it's a smaller room. Having you really using your vertical spaces for those pieces that are again, like have depth to them, have nice color, and something that really draws the eye and makes your eye go up, so that will automatically
Yeah. Well, that's
space.
one question that I have.
Okay.
So my question is, as far as eye line, so should you be staring straight at the middle of a piece of art when you're standing in front of it, or should it be higher or lower?
Yeah, so of course we're all various heights. Like I'm not very tall, but my son is like 6'2". So there are there are definitely rules of hanging art. So on an average person's height, I would say about 5'4", 5'6". I would say your eye should be kind of like, if it's a standing room and you're standing in front of the art, your face should be in the middle of that piece. So that's the level you want to hang. Now, if it's a sitting room, like for example, a living room, then you kind of follow the rule of, okay, if you look up and you are able to comfortably view the piece of art or a TV or any piece that you have on the wall, then that's the level that you want to have it at. So it doesn't have to be
Okay.
necessarily very high. So if you're hanging something above the sofa, you hang about 4 to 5 inches above the back of the sofa,
Okay.
not like 2 feet above it, which I see all the time.
Yeah, we've seen it. I think we've seen everything, you and I, at this point. But yeah, it's good to know what
Yeah.
you're supposed to do. Um,
Yeah.
okay, let's keep going. So number four.
Number four is the use of, so looking at the scale of your items that you have in the room. So, for example, a lot of times people feel that if I put smaller pieces of furniture or smaller rugs, my room is going to look big. It's actually the opposite. So, what happens is when you put a small piece of sofa, or a love seat or a sofa, or maybe a couple of little chairs with a little tiny rug, that is not necessarily attached to your seating, but just under a little table, or not even have a coffee table. Sometimes people are trying to make sure that, there's not a lot of stuff in the space, but it's just going to look so much bigger. But it actually shows that this room doesn't have the capacity to hold that furniture. So
Yeah.
when you have a
Okay.
nice substantial, and it doesn't, again, like it doesn't have to be a recliner that's black and bulky, but you have a nice substantial sofa that has maybe a linen texture to it with beautiful light colored pillows, with a rug that's big enough that all your furniture, at least the front feet of your furniture, is on the rug. So I always tend to go with larger rugs in a room that needs to look bigger, because it automatically, again, like gives it that expansive look. And having a rug that's, again, like the technology has come so far, where you can actually clean your rugs in so many different ways that you don't necessarily have to stick with a brown rug that's going to
Yeah.
hide everything. You can actually get lighter colored rugs, and you can actually make your room appear larger with things that might be a little bit oversized in scale. You just have to
Wonderful.
use them strategically.
Very cool. Okay, and number five.
Number five is so important, and we all sometimes, we actually fall in this trap where you're like, oh my God, I just cannot get myself to do it. But I will give you a couple of tips where you can actually, help your home looking nice and fresh all the time. So that is decluttering. And everybody
Oh,
that I
yes.
know, and when you're living in the home, clutter just creeps in. It just comes from places where you just don't imagine that it'll just appear. So what I do is, when I'm getting ready in the morning, or if I'm finishing up something in the kitchen, or if we're just finished up dinner or anything like that, just think about if it's going to take you 1 minute or less to just do that job. That's like, homework sitting on the dining table, or stuff sitting on the coffee table that you just finished working on. If it's going to take you 1 minute or less, just do it. Don't
Yes.
even think about it. So,
Yeah.
that's something that I try to convince myself. And usually it does only take a minute, but we just think, oh, I'll just come back and do it. Like I'll go to this meeting and come back and do it, or I'll go to work and come back, and then you get so tired and you just procrastinate. So that's one thing that I would say. If you think it's gonna
Absolutely.
make making your bed, or just cleaning your countertop after you're done in the morning, things like that, they take seconds. So try to keep doing that. And whenever you're leaving a room, never leave a room empty-handed. And I tell my kids that every time, right?
That was my mom's rule for the, yeah, never go upstairs empty-handed.
Yeah, and that is so important, because you'll see moms putting stuff on the stairs all the time, and people just trip over it and never
Yeah.
carry it upstairs or downstairs. So if you can make it a habit where you just leave a room and just take empty, snack bags or cups or whatever you might have had in bed that last night, just take it with you, and then just clear the space as much as you can, and just make those habits a regular thing. And then again, like, it's never going to be perfect, but it will help you get to a point where you're like, okay, it's looking reasonable if somebody walks into my home right now.
Wonderful. Oh, those are so good. So good. I have an episode um coming up on decluttering, because I'm part of a declutter challenge this month, and I am shocked at the amount of clutter I have been collecting, but I've donated
Yeah.
like 3 carloads of stuff, and it really brings your stress down, and it makes
Yes.
you feel comfortable about having people over and feeling just good about your home. which
Yeah.
is kind of where we intersect, you and I, where we want people to feel good at home.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, no, that's wonderful. And then I guess basically really quick, the what are the most important spaces in the home?
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you both and you can answer them, but important spaces and where can people, so as you're kind of redoing things, where are the most reasonably priced items going to be found? Because I know sometimes that budget can really get out of hand if you're trying to
Hmm.
redo everything. And
Yeah.
so sometimes people will just get frustrated and they'll just put it off. But where would you say the most reasonable place to acquire kind of these light, like larger rugs or
Mhm.
decor or nesting table, things like that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So the first question that you had was the most important spaces in a house or in a property or your home. So there's two things that you have to kind of consider is what your lifestyle is, right? So if your lifestyle is that you're a person that works from home and you're spending a lot of time at home, or if you're a person that always is driving your kids to activities and you are also going to work yourself, there's these are two different lifestyles where your priorities may be different in terms of where you spend most of your time. So I will say in either case, in the first, two people who are working from home or working outside the home, your living room is the most important room that I would say you spend most of your time. And people tend to just come home and just when they want to relax, they want to just sit down for a bit in the living room. So it could be kids, it could be yourself. So that would be one of the most important rooms. And when I talk to people who are selling their homes, I would say this is your money room, where
Yes.
people will actually be able to really see the value that the home brings to their family. The second is kitchen, and you must have heard it
Yes.
several times that it's heart
Yes.
of your home, and it truly is, because again, like it, all the abundance that is in your life kind of comes from the kitchen.
Yes.
We connect a lot of things with the kind of food that we consume and the kind of the kind of drinks that we have and things like that. So it's really definitely a heart of your home, and having a beautiful kitchen and something that flows really well with the work that you're doing in your kitchen is really really important. So again, that's again another very important space. Your workspace, the workspace is going to be, again, if you're working from home, you're probably going to be spending a lot of time every day in your workspace. So you want
Yes.
to make sure that workspace is something that you are comfortable in. You're not just not just sitting there for 10-15 minutes, but you're probably spending hours there.
Yes.
So colors are going to be really important, and how you feel in that space is going to be really important, actually very critical. And then lastly, I would say bathrooms. So I always encourage people to be a little bit creative with how their bathrooms are. Sometimes we actually just forget about bathrooms because we just think it's just a very utilitarian kind of space. But bathrooms can be a beautiful, relaxing space and actually a break from your day when you're in the bathroom.
Yep.
And especially the guest bath in the main level could be something that you can really try, a beautiful paint color or a wallpaper or
Yes.
finishes that you may not be adventurous enough to try otherwise. So those are the
Absolutely.
things that I would say are important. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Yes, I and my clients are always very eager to show us the powder rooms when they've
Yeah.
recreated them, and that is such a key. Um,
Yeah.
and then I know we're getting tight for time, but just
Mhm.
where would you say people can go and purchase
Yeah.
items?
Yeah. So now everything is available online, but it's really hard for people to shop online for homes because, when you look at something, it feels a certain way, or, the fabric might appear a certain way, but when you get it in, shipped to your home, it's just
Yes.
not what you saw online.
Yes.
So I still think shopping in person is definitely, my style too. Once I have experienced a certain brand or certain finish, then I would actually be able to go and order online. So it's important to be aware of that and always look at return policies. But I think in London, again, if we're talking about being local, we have a really nice store called StrucTube, and that's a
Oh,
store
yes.
where, yeah, and that's a store where I'm now seeing very durable items, beautiful, on-trend pieces that are not
Wonderful.
going to break the bank, but will also bring a beautiful energy in your home. So I think that's something you can explore and just
Fantastic.
walk around the store and see, get inspired.
Yeah.
I also think the local markets are a really great place to find beautiful pieces where you can really bring character in your home.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's summertime and there's markets everywhere, and small
Yeah.
businesses work really hard to, on those pieces, but they're not going to be overly
Yeah.
expensive. So I think really, really explore that and never
Okay.
underestimate the value of thrift stores. I tend to find treasures in thrift stores as,
Wonderful.
for decorating and stuff. So I would say try that out too.
Okay.
For window coverings and curtains, I like Bouclair.
Yeah.
I say that they have really good, economical kind of designs that are on trend, and they're beautiful materials. So I would recommend Bouclair for those pieces.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it's hit or miss, but sometimes Giant Tiger has some great curtains that are the
Yeah.
darker colors, especially for kids' rooms, are
Yeah.
are nice for blackout curtains.
Yeah.
I think most kids, kids are going to bed before the sun right now.
Yeah, true. I've actually found really good blackout curtains at Costco too.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Very nice. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Kay. And very last thing I wanted to ask everyone before we finish with an interview, what is your favorite thing to do to relax? If you're relaxing and you're just having a day for you, what's the thing that if you could do that, you just feel so much
Yeah.
better?
For me, I think my favorite thing would be probably if I do not have a lot of distractions, I would probably listen to a book,
Wonderful.
or just use that app on my iPad where I can actually draw or paint. So that's what
Very
I used to
nice.
do. Yeah, because I mean, again, like I just love being creative. So that's something really relaxing for me.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having
And
me.
everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to connect with Kay, we are always happy to connect you with wonderful people. So just reach out, and I hope everyone has an amazing, amazing week.